The first sign wasn't the lipstick on the glass. It was the broken heel on the doormat. One shoe. One heel snapped off like it had been yanked off in a rush. Not lost, not misplaced, but discarded. Her favorite navy stilettos. The ones she only wore when she was trying to impress someone. Not me. The front door was unlocked. Our alarm never set. Her coat still hung on the hook, but the perfume in the air wasn't hers. It was muskier, stronger, masculine, like someone had drowned in cologne and fled. I didn't say anything. I just walked through the house, slow, like I was afraid of waking up something I couldn't face. Everything was in place, yet nothing felt right. You ever walk into your own home and feel like it doesn't belong to you anymore? She was upstairs, brushing her hair like a scene from a movie. Calm, poised, like I hadn't just stood in a cloud of unfamiliar cologne downstairs. "I'm heading out this evening," she said, like it was just another Tuesday. And I said it. I don't know where it came from. Maybe the sock last week. Maybe the deleted messages I pretended not to see. Maybe it was just me trying to matter again. "If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." She didn't flinch. Didn't ask what I meant. Didn't beg. Didn't cry. Didn't care. She just put her brush down, grabbed a clutch I didn't recognize, and walked right past me. Her other heel clicking perfectly against the hardwood. One heel, one limp. Like some twisted metronome counting down the seconds of our life together. I stood there for maybe a minute. Maybe 20. I don't know. And then the door shut. And I swear the silence screamed. So I walked into our bedroom. I opened the drawer she always locked when she thought I wasn't looking. I pulled out the black journal she didn't know I had found months ago. And I read the first page. "He kissed my neck today, and I didn't pull away." I wish I could say I felt guilty. No date. No name. Just the sentence that ended my world. And it only got worse from there. She hadn't even been gone 5 minutes when I heard a car engine outside. At first, I thought maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she came back. Maybe my words had actually meant something. Maybe she'd walk back through the door with that fake smile she uses when she's pretending everything's okay. And we'd fight and cry and figure it out. But I peeked through the blinds, and there was a black SUV I'd never seen before. Parked halfway up the driveway. No one got out. No one went in. Just sitting there, engine running, headlights off, like it was waiting for something. Or someone. I felt sick. I didn't go outside. I just stood behind the curtain, holding my breath like a damn coward. And after what felt like hours, the car slowly backed out, turned without using its lights, and disappeared into the night. She hadn't taken her car. So where did she go? That's when I did something I promised myself I'd never do. I opened her desk drawer. The one she kept locked with a key she didn't know I had copied last summer when I thought she was hiding credit card debt. God, I wish it had just been credit card debt. Inside was a stack of receipts. Hotel bars. Fancy restaurants. Art galleries. Things she never had interest in. Things she said were a waste of time when I suggested them. All paid in cash. But what froze my blood was a folded piece of paper between 2 receipts, a printed confirmation for a 1-bedroom Airbnb, booked for 2 guests. No name, no message, just a date. Tonight. I sat down on the floor, right there in front of the drawer. Lights off. No music, no noise. Just my heart pounding in my ears like it was trying to warn me of something worse. Something coming. I should have called her, demanded the truth. I should have yelled or screamed or cried or done something. But I didn't. Instead, I walked into our closet, opened her suitcase, and found what I already knew I'd find. Missing clothes. Perfume. A pair of earrings she swore she lost last year. A photo frame, empty. One that used to hold a picture of us on our honeymoon. Gone. She was gone. Not just for the night. Not for a break. She left. And the worst part? She didn't even say goodbye. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She didn't care enough to lie. She just smiled and walked out like I was nothing. But if she thought I'd roll over and disappear quietly, she was wrong. Because I was done being silent. Tomorrow, I was going to the Airbnb. And I was going to find out who he was. I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. I sat on the edge of the bed in my jeans from yesterday, staring at the half-open closet like it might suddenly confess something. Like the clothes left behind could explain what she took with her. There was a dent in her pillow. Still warm. I hated that I noticed. At 7:19 p.m. the next evening, I was parked across the street from the Airbnb address. Not even in front of it. I was 4 houses down, behind a hedge, pretending I was checking my phone. I felt like a criminal and a fool at the same time. But I had to know. I couldn't live another second not knowing who she had become when she wasn't pretending to love me anymore. The house was small. White fence, string lights on the porch, one car in the driveway. Not hers. Not mine. Someone else's. A silver sedan with out-of-state plates. I zoomed in with my phone camera and caught the sticker on the windshield. A rental. Rental. Of course. She was being careful. Sneaky. Invisible. I was still sitting there, engine off, debating whether I even had the nerve to walk up, when I saw a shadow cross behind the curtain. It wasn't her. Too tall. Too broad. Male silhouette. My stomach dropped through the seat. I got out of the car before I could talk myself out of it. Every step felt like I was wading through wet cement. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was broken, humiliated, terrified of what I'd find. That's worse than anger. Anger makes you feel strong. This felt like walking into my own funeral. I knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. I turned to walk away. I even made it halfway down the porch stairs before the door creaked open behind me. And there she was. But it wasn't her face that gutted me. It was her expression. She looked surprised, like she hadn't expected to ever see me again. But not guilty, not scared, just mildly irritated, like I had interrupted her during something important. She didn't even ask how I found her. Just stepped outside, pulled the door halfway shut behind her, and said, "You shouldn't be here." That was it. Not "I'm sorry." Not "let me explain." Not even "what do you want?" Just "you shouldn't be here." I couldn't speak. I didn't know what to say. I just stared at her, blinking, trying to piece together what the hell I was supposed to feel. I'd imagined a dozen versions of this confrontation. None of them included her acting like I was the problem. I asked her one thing, one quiet, pathetic, almost whispered question. "Is he inside?" She hesitated, just for a moment, then said, "Elliot, don't do this." And then the door behind her opened wider. I turned, and I saw him. But he wasn't who I expected. He wasn't some tall, tanned, rich, chiseled stranger. He was someone I knew, someone I had shaken hands with, someone who'd eaten dinner at my table, laughed at my dumb stories, complimented our dog. And when our eyes met, he smiled. No shame, no fear, just that smug, slow, calculated smile. And in that moment, I didn't feel sadness, or betrayal, or pain. I felt something colder, something I didn't know I was capable of. Because this wasn't just cheating. This was war. I didn't sleep again. That night didn't even feel real. It felt like I had been shoved into someone else's life. Someone weaker. Someone slower. Someone stupid enough not to see it coming. That smile, his smile, it looped in my head like a glitch. You know the kind. Slow. Measured. Almost rehearsed. It wasn't just "I win." It was, "You never even knew we were playing." And Ramona? She just stood there, like she was watching two dogs growl from opposite ends of a yard and couldn't be bothered to stop either one. She didn't speak again. She didn't try to explain. She didn't apologize. She stepped back inside and closed the door on me. The only thing she said before disappearing into that Airbnb with him was, "This is your fault, Elliot." That sentence was a chainsaw to my brain. My fault? I drove home, fists clenching the steering wheel so tight my fingers cramped. I was shaking. Not from rage exactly. I wish it were that simple. It was deeper than that. It was disbelief. Like I was mourning someone who hadn't died, but left a corpse behind anyway. Everything in the house felt infected. Her perfume in the hallway. The empty wine glass on the counter. The folded laundry I had done the day before still sitting in a basket. Her socks on top. I picked one up and nearly threw up. It was pink with flamingos again. Not a match to the one I found earlier. A second one. There were two of them. A pair. That wasn't an accident. That was proof that she had brought him into our space. Into my life. Into my home. And still, I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I didn't even cry. I just sat on the edge of the bed and wrote down everything I remembered. Every glance. Every whisper. Every time she was late. Every lie she ever told me that I forgave too quickly because I didn't want to be that guy. But now I was that guy. By morning, I was already planning something. Not revenge. Not yet. Just clarity. I needed to understand. To collect. To track. Not for closure. I knew I wasn't getting that. Not from her. She had closed that door in more ways than one. But I still had access to our joint calendar. And guess what was still on there? A business trip. This Friday. Chicago. 3 days. Hotel already booked. Tickets paid for. Room reserved for 2. She hadn't deleted it. Probably forgot it synced to my cloud. That was her mistake. Because I was going to be there too. Not to scream. Not to confront. Not to beg. I was done begging. This time, I just wanted her to see me. To really see what she did. And I wanted him to understand. I knew his name now. I knew where he worked. And I knew his wife's number. I arrived in Chicago 2 hours before her flight landed. I didn't even bother to hide it. I used our joint travel points, booked a different room in the same hotel, same floor, just 5 doors down. I wanted to be close. I wanted to see it unfold. To watch her lie without knowing I was there, just a wall away. I wanted to know if she was going to bring him or someone new. Or maybe she'd come alone and drink wine in the lobby pretending to be a free spirit while texting him from the elevator. Either way, I'd know. And I wasn't going to interfere. Not yet. I was just there to observe. Like a ghost. The hotel was expensive. Downtown. Too expensive for us. Honestly, we always stayed in modest places when we traveled. But apparently, when you're cheating, luxury matters. That made me laugh, bitterly. Of course it does. Guilt needs soft sheets and tall windows to feel justified. I checked in with a fake smile. Used a fake name too, Henry Novak. Just in case she got clever. I even brought a small duffel bag with gym clothes in it, so I could look like I was just another traveler, not the man whose life she had detonated. Her reservation was under her name. The clerk confirmed it with a smile. Arriving later this evening with a guest? He asked. I just nodded and walked away before I lost it right there on the marble floor. I set up my small corner of the room with snacks, a laptop, and the camcorder I hadn't touched since my sister's baby shower 2 years ago. That part wasn't for the internet. It wasn't revenge porn. It wasn't blackmail. I needed to document it. For me. Because one day, if I ever doubted myself again, I wanted to look back at the truth, raw and unfiltered. At 6:32 p.m., her Uber pulled up. I saw her through the peephole first. She looked relaxed. Happy even. She wasn't wearing work clothes. She wore a tight burgundy dress, the kind she always said didn't fit right, and that I hadn't seen in at least a year. Her heels clicked against the hallway floor like she was walking into a movie scene. Behind her came him. I clenched my jaw so hard it cracked. Same smug face. Hair slicked back like he was auditioning for a villain role. He was carrying her bag like they were already playing house. I wondered if he kissed his own wife goodbye before coming here. They disappeared into her room without a word. I stood in the hallway for almost 10 minutes, pretending to scroll on my phone, just in case I caught a whisper or a laugh through the wall. Nothing. Just muffled silence. The worst kind. I went back to my room. I didn't turn the TV on. I didn't eat. I sat at the edge of the bed and stared at the door. And then I made the decision that changed everything. I called her phone. Once. No answer. Twice. Still nothing. Third time, it went straight to voicemail. And then, a message popped up on our shared cloud. Do not disturb activated, room 714. Of course. She silenced everything. I opened my notes app. I typed out a message to his wife. Something short. Just the facts. The dates. The places. The receipts. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Instead, I stood up, grabbed my hotel key, and walked out into the hall. Room 714 was just a few doors down. I raised my fist, paused, and knocked. Not once, but 3 times. Steady, loud, clear. Inside, I heard someone gasp. Then nothing. Just footsteps. Closer, closer. And then the doorknob turned slowly, cautiously, like they thought it might be room service. The door cracked open, and the look on her face when she saw me, it wasn't shock. It wasn't fear. It was something worse. It was recognition. Like she knew I'd come. Like she was ready. She didn't slam the door in my face. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even ask why I was there. She opened the door a little wider, tilted her head, and said, "Do you want to come in?" Like I was a neighbor borrowing sugar. I stood there frozen for maybe 3 full seconds. I could feel my own heartbeat in my fingertips. Every cell in my body was telling me not to cross that line. Not because I was afraid of a fight, but because I knew, once I walked through that door, I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't go home and lie to myself that it was a misunderstanding or a rough patch or a phase. No, walking through that door meant I was stepping into the truth. Fully. Finally, I stepped inside. The lights were dimmed. Music was playing, soft jazz, low enough to disappear into the walls. Her bag was on the desk, unzipped. His coat was slung over the chair. 2 glasses on the counter. one half full, the other with lipstick I recognized. And there he was, standing at the window, looking out at the skyline like this was just another vacation. Like I was the intruder. He didn't speak when I walked in. He didn't even turn around. He just sipped his drink and smirked at the reflection in the glass. That smirk. That same one from the Airbnb. It made my skin itch. Ramona sat on the edge of the bed and crossed her legs slowly, deliberately. "You came all this way," she said, like it was romantic. Like I was the one chasing her. I asked her why. I asked her to explain it. Not with lies or gaslighting or lawyer-ready wording, just with truth. Something real. I deserved that, didn't I? After 8 years. After everything I forgave. After the miscarriages. The therapy. The loneliness. I had earned one honest answer. She leaned back on her hands and just said, "Because you stopped seeing me." I couldn't breathe for a second. "What does that mean?" I asked, voice barely holding together. "You stopped seeing me," she repeated, like it was obvious. "You stopped noticing what I wore, how I changed my hair, the way I started working late. You let me disappear right in front of you. So I did." That was it. That was her grand confession. I didn't scream. I didn't hit anything. I didn't fall to my knees like some dramatic movie scene. I just stood there, dead still, processing what she was really saying. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. She wanted me to find out. She had left the sock. She'd left the calendar open. She'd left the flamingo earrings on the dresser for a reason. She wasn't sorry. She was building an exit. I turned to the guy, the smug bastard standing at the window, and asked him flat out if his wife knew where he was. He finally turned around then, smiling like a fox caught in a henhouse. "Do you think she cares?" he said. I looked at Ramona. "Do you?" She said nothing. And that was my answer. I didn't throw anything. I didn't beg. I didn't threaten. I just walked over to her purse, pulled out her phone, unlocked, careless, and sent one text. To his wife. "Check room 714. Chicago Hilton. Your husband is here." Then I dropped the phone on the floor between them. She looked down at it. He took a step toward me like he was going to grab it, but I was already walking out. No words. No threats. No parting shots. Just silence. I left the door open behind me. And as I walked down that hotel hallway, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Control. The hallway felt longer than before. I must have passed 5 cleaning carts before I reached the elevator, but I couldn't feel my legs. I pressed the down button and waited, chest tight, stomach in knots, as if I'd just left a crime scene. Except the only crime committed up there was against my dignity. And maybe, finally, I had started to avenge it. The ride down was quiet. A family got in with me on the 6th floor. Dad in cargo shorts. Mom with a stroller. Kid holding a juice box and staring up at me like he could see something broken I was trying to hide. I forced a smile. It didn't hold. In the lobby, I sat at the bar, but didn't order anything. I just needed to be near people. Near strangers. People who didn't know I was the guy who just texted another man's wife with a hotel room number like it was a bomb code. I had crossed a line, and for the first time in weeks, I felt alive again. I didn't expect a reply from her, his wife. But when my phone vibrated 20 minutes later, I stared at the screen like it might bite me. Unknown number. "Who are you and why would you send me this?" I took a long breath. Typed back slowly. "I'm the husband. Your husband is here with mine." There was no response. For 20 minutes. Maybe 30. I thought she blocked me. Maybe she didn't believe me. Maybe she'd heard it all before. Maybe she already knew. That terrified me more than anything. The idea that this wasn't his first affair. That she was numb to it. That they had some arrangement. That cheating had become normal for them. That I had been the only fool still thinking marriage was about love. But then, at 8:41 p.m, I saw it. She walked into the lobby. Alone. Red trench coat. Heels clicking like thunder. No makeup. No hesitation. Her eyes scanned the room like a drone. Focused. Precise. Deadly. She didn't look like a woman confused. She looked like a woman ready. I stood slowly. She spotted me instantly. Walked straight over and said, "Elevator?" I nodded. We didn't exchange names. Didn't talk. Just got into the same elevator and rode it in silence. I could feel her shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from fury she was holding just under the surface. Her fists were clenched. Her breathing shallow. When the doors opened on the 7th floor, we stepped out like assassins. She didn't ask which room. She walked straight to 714 like she had always known where he disappeared to during his conferences. I followed behind her, not out of curiosity anymore, but duty. I wanted to see it. I wanted to witness her reaction. I wanted to remember it the next time someone said, "Maybe you're overreacting." She didn't knock. She kicked the door. Once. Twice. And then screamed his name so loud the walls vibrated. The door opened. Not by him. By Ramona, wearing nothing but a towel. She froze. His wife didn't. She shoved past her so hard the towel dropped, leaving Ramona scrambling to cover herself with a throw blanket from the couch. The other guests on the floor had started to peek out of their doors like nosy spectators at a public meltdown. He came stumbling out of the bathroom in a panic, trying to zip up his pants and shout at both of us at once. It was chaos. Ramona was screaming. He was sputtering. His wife was listing every woman he'd cheated on her with like she'd rehearsed the names in alphabetical order. And me? I stood in the doorway, silent, watching, not enjoying it, not laughing, just observing. The destruction they caused was finally finding its way back to them. Security showed up 8 minutes later, escorted all of us downstairs, asked if we wanted to call the police. No one did. We stood in the hotel lobby, me, Ramona, her lover, and his wife, like broken chess pieces after a brutal match. Nothing else to move. No more plays to make. Just wreckage. She tried to talk to me in the parking garage. Ramona, said my name like it still belonged to her. I kept walking. Didn't look back. Because now, I had the power. And I wasn't done yet. I didn't go home right away. After the explosion in Chicago, the shouting, the exposed lies, the hotel security guards treating us like high schoolers caught in a closet, I sat in my car for 2 full hours. Parked in a quiet corner of the garage, keys in the ignition but the engine off. The silence after the storm was deafening, but it didn't scare me like it used to. This time, the silence felt clean, like a room after someone finally took out the trash. Ramona had followed me to the garage. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She stood by the pillar, wrapped in some borrowed sweater, like a ghost of who she used to be. She asked me if we could talk, and for the first time in our marriage, I didn't feel obligated to say yes. So I didn't. I didn't need answers anymore. I didn't want apologies. I wasn't holding out for closure. Some wounds don't need to be reopened just to confirm they were deep. I had already bled enough. I drove to my brother's cabin in the Smokies. He wasn't home, but he owed me a favor, and he'd left a key under the firewood bin. It was quiet out there. No traffic. No city lights. No one asking where Ramona was. No reminders of flamingo socks or empty wine glasses. Just trees. Just wind. Just me. And peace. For the first time in years, I woke up without checking her side of the bed. I made breakfast without waiting to hear if she wanted coffee. I played a song I loved without hearing her sigh through it like she was enduring a punishment. I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked, and thought, he's still in there. Over the next few days, I blocked her number. I canceled our joint accounts, froze the credit cards, filed for divorce, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, out of mercy for myself. Then I sent one final message. Not to her. To the woman from the hotel, his wife. The one who stormed in like a hurricane and left no lie standing. I hope you find peace too. You didn't deserve it either. She replied only once. Neither did you. Thank you for telling me. And that was enough. Weeks passed. Then months. And you know what? I started healing. Not quickly. Not in some cheesy montage way. But in real, quiet, uneven steps. I started walking again. Reading again. Breathing again. Eventually, I joined a hiking group. I didn't go to meet anyone. I just needed something that didn't involve staring at walls. But that's where I met Marin. Not a whirlwind, not a rescue. Just a woman who smiled like she meant it and laughed without checking who was watching. She didn't ask about my past on the first date. Or the second. When I finally told her the whole story on the 5th, she didn't flinch. She just said, well, I'm glad she walked out that night. Or else we wouldn't be sitting here now. And I laughed. Really laughed. Because for the first time in a long time, I believed that maybe, just maybe, everything falling apart was exactly what I needed. Not to break me, but to rebuild me. And this time, I'm building something real.